You can make your strumming sound way more professional in 2 minutes by changing 3 small things about the way you strum the guitar. My name is Jake, and over the last 16 years, I've taught the coolest people on the internet how to play guitar. When we first start strumming, we get a lot of things that we have to do. We have to hold our pick in a certain way, have our wrist a certain space. We need to move our elbow a certain way. We need to move our wrist and our fingers. We have to have our left hand in the proper position. So the things that I'm going to share with you might be things that you've heard before, but you're probably going to be hearing them with fresh ears, which is going to make all the difference when you apply them to your strumming. There are 3 tweaks I'm going to recommend that you make to your strumming technique that are going to make all the difference in you having clean, confident sounding strumming. And at the end, I'm going to explain exactly how you can apply these technique tweaks to your practice routine. The first tweak is you're actually going to loosen the grip on your pick. So when you're practicing, you should be using thick picks. Now, you might love the way thin picks sound, and that's awesome. Certain songs, certain styles, that's perfect. But in order to practice and develop the best technique we can, we want to use a thick pick. I recommend Fender Heavies or about 1 millimeter. 0.8 will be totally fine. A little thicker is great too, but the point is we don't want the pick itself to bend. When the pick bends, it means we can squeeze really hard and let the pick bend out of the way of the strings, training ourselves to strum harder and more aggressively, which we don't want. Instead, we want to take a thick pick and we want to hold it really loosely. So if we steal it from ourselves, it comes right out of our fingers. Now, step 1 is great, but if we don't use step 2, if we don't use technique tweak 2, we're just going to end up yanking that pick right out of our fingers. And this is what I call the paintbrush technique. We want to imagine that our strings are a sheet of paper or like a plane of paper. So it's a flat sheet of paper, and that our pick is a brush. We just want to have that brush kiss the paper as we go over. It's very, very light. We're not putting it really deep down or pushing hard. I think that would just like mush the bristles into the paper. We wouldn't get a clean line. We want to just kiss those strings. Now, to get more volume, we can squeeze a little harder. But in the beginning, we want to practice holding the pick as gently as we possibly can and brushing as lightly as we can to develop the grip that we want between our thumb and our index finger so that we can make those micro adjustments so the pick feels solid in our fingers even when we don't have the tight grip. That's the main goal. Now, technique tweak number 3 is probably going to have the biggest impact immediately on your strumming. But really quick, before we dive into that, I want to invite you to join me in my free community and course at school.com/guitar. That's schoolwithak.com/guitar. If this is helping you out at all, I've got tons more material in there, plus over 1,500 other people all learning guitar together, having a blast doing it and sharing notes. Okay, so let's talk about the third technique tweak. When we strum, when we first start strumming, a lot of times we think as I play down and up, I have to strum all the strings each way. But the truth is, when we strum all the strings down and all the strings up, it starts to sound really robotic. And this is because most of our guitar heroes, most of our acoustic playing, strumming heroes that we really enjoy listening to, they're not doing that. What we tend to hear on records in our favorite artists and what tends to sound the best is if we strum thicker strings when we strum down. Maybe we strum 4 or 5 strings, maybe only 3, and on the way up, we hit 2, 3, maybe 4 strings. See how much cleaner that sounds than this. When I try to strum all the strings at once, it's kind of this wall of sound with every strum. I'm having to get each string vibrating on its own. They're all playing together, which is the most sonically dense it can be, for lack of a better word. We're filling up that whole frequency spectrum instead of having our down strums sound distinct from our up strums because of the strings we're hitting. It also helps our rhythms sound more crisp and clean because we can tell where the down strums are happening and the up strums. Now, I know when I say crisp and clean, but they're different, it sounds a little crazy, but I encourage you to go back and listen to some of your favorite records where you're listening to people strum. And unless it's an effect or a technique of doing all downs intentionally or a really heavy part, you're going to hear when they strum down, it's thicker strings, and when they strum up, it's thinner strings. And that is going to help our strumming sound much more professional very, very quickly. Now, if you're ready to strum, but you need some songs to practice on, this video teaches 4 songs, and 2 of them are perfect to apply everything that we talked about right now.